It looks like there's not going to be much happening this week in Pokemon Go. In this video, I'm going to be going over all the important details for what's happening this week, and also giving you a bit of a game plan on what you should be looking forward to. Hey, what's happening everyone? Count Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So today is not necessarily going to be a fun video, I guess. We're going to be going over everything that's happening this week in Pokemon Go, but I will say there are a few little things that are worth your attention, even though it is looking to be a bit of a down week. There's not really much happening in terms of events. There is going to be a Max Battle Day featuring a new Gigantamax Pokemon, but aside from that, there really isn't too much. And the reason for that is because we're going to be having the Bugout event for just a couple more days, and then afterwards, there's no in-game event. There's no community day, there's nothing really special going on. The raid boss that's going to be in 5-star raids is not necessarily going to be an absolute game changer. Yeah, it's just kind of a down week, so maybe you could just take it very easy, maybe you could just enjoy the daily bonuses, and then just stock up on Pokeballs, stock up on items, catch a few Pokemon for Stardust, and then just focus on other things. That's really the best thing you could do during this week. But yeah, let's go over all the different things that are going to be happening, and then afterwards I'll be sharing a little bit of a game plan for how you should approach this week. Alright, so even though we only have a couple of days left for this event, actually I think it's going to be ending tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. Well, anyway, let's go over the Bugout event real quick. This is going to be an event featuring Blipbug as the new Pokedex entry, and it's also going to be debuting Sizzlipede, so you have a couple of hours in order to get something out of this event, I guess. Yeah, basically it comes down to this new shiny. So for tonight, it's going to be all about Combee with Sizzlipede, so you can get yourself some really good Stardust gains with Combee. Basically, any lure modules are going to spawn a bunch of Combee as well as Sizzlipede. So for the next couple of hours, if you are still playing Pokemon Go for this last day of this Bugout event, go to a Pokestop, lure it up, and get yourself a bunch of Combee for those Stardust gains. There was also a Go Pass tied to this event, which I think at this point, if you were playing consistently, you should already be at tier 2, which means you're going to have a double candy bonus for every Pokemon you catch, and if you have the Deluxe Edition, that's actually going to be 3 times the amount of candy. There's also a bonus for double the amount of experience for catching Pokemon with Nice Throws or better. That was at tier 1, so if you have these tiers with this Go Pass, then you're going to be having these bonuses for these next few hours. And then of course, the Pokemon that made its debut with this event is going to be Blipbug, actually. Yeah, I have a hard time pronouncing this Pokemon. If you have 25 Blipbug candy, you can get the evolved form Dottler, and then you can evolve it further to Orbeetle for 100 more candy. So if you still do not have these Pokedex entries, then make sure you go out and catch a bunch of Blipbug while you can, and get those Pokedex entries before this event ends. Also in the wild, you're going to be seeing Caterpie, Dwebble, Sizzlipede, as well as Nimble, and then of course, Sizzlipede did get its shiny debut, so now is the time for you to try to get this shiny. And then happening on this weekend is going to be Gigantamax Pikachu Max Battle Day. Let's talk about the details for that. So this event is going to be happening on March 28th from 2 o'clock p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. local time, and the featured Pokemon is of course going to be Gigantamax Pikachu. Now, considering that this is a Max Battle Day, we're going to be getting the following bonuses during the event hours. The Max Particle Collection limit is going to be increased to 1600. All Power Spots are going to host Gigantamax battles. Power Spots are going to refresh more frequently, and there's going to be additional Power Spots that will be active. And then you're going to get 8 times the amount of Max Particles from Power Stops, and up to 3 special trades today during these event hours. You're also going to get double the amount of Max Particles from Exploring, and then the adventuring distance to receive Max Particles is going to be cut down to a quarter. And then the remote raid pass limit is going to be increased to 20, so you could do these remotely if you choose to do so. And then finally, there's going to be an event ticket in the in-game shop, which is going to give you 1 Max Mushroom, 25,000 experience, 6,400 Max Particles, and then there's also going to be a bonus during the event hours where you're going to get double the amount of experience from Max Battles. And then something of note note is that Gigantamax Pikachu is not going to be able to evolve, so any Pikachu that you get from max battles from these encounters are not going to have the option to evolve into Raichu. Alright, and I guess this leaves us with the weekly content, and this is going to be interesting. This week in Max Battles, we're going to be getting the legendary Pokemon Regice. Now, I don't necessarily know if this Pokemon has any kind of battle relevance, but at the very least, you're going to be able to get a legendary from Max Battles throughout this week. And then in 5-star raids, we of course are going to be getting another Reggie Pokemon, and it is going to be Regieleki, but unfortunately this is not going to have the exclusive move Thunder Cage, which is actually what makes it relevant. Now of course this also means that this Wednesday's raid hour is going to be featuring the Pokemon Regieleki. If you want to get yourself at least a 100% IV of this Pokemon so that you could power it up and use an elite charge TM in order to get Thunder Cage, then this Wednesday's raid hour might be worth doing, which is going to be from 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. local time. And then finally, alongside Regieleki in Mega Evolution raids, we're going to have Mega Houndoom, which is going to be available until the end of this week. And this is one of those Mega Evolutions that really has no significant relevance, but at the very least, if you still do not have it as a Pokedex entry, then you should go out and get a couple of Mega Energy for this Pokemon and just collect that Pokedex entry. And also, with Shadow Legendary raids until the end of this week, we're going to continue to have Shadow Latias. Again, this is not really that relevant, but if you still do not have yourself a Shadow Latias or you want a shiny Shadow Latias, you will have the opportunity to get that during this week within Shadow Legendary raids. Alright, and that leaves us with the Go Battle League, and this is actually going to be an interesting week for the Go Battle League. We have the Open Master League and the Jungle Cup Great League Edition going on until this Tuesday, and then afterwards we're going to have the Open Great League, Open Ultra League, as well as the Open Master League. This is one of those weeks where people tend to go all out in battles so that they can collect a whole bunch of ranking points, mainly because with all 3 leagues open, you have a variety of different options to get points. So definitely take full advantage of that. All 3 of the open leagues are going to be open starting on March 24th. Alright, so overall there's not much going on during this week, but at the very least you could still go over a couple of things that a lot of players should be doing on the daily. First and foremost, you should be sending and opening gifts as much as you can so that you could build up your friendships, because if you were to hit the new friendship level, then you can engage in remote trades. And we've already seen that. I think a lot of players are now hitting the point where they have a whole bunch of forever friends and they're getting a whole bunch of lucky trades done. So, or I should say lucky remote trades, because a lot of people have been sitting on lucky trades for a long time and now they can finally get those done remotely. So yeah, that's probably one thing you could focus on. Of course, Regieleki is still a really good Pokemon to use. It is considered a top tier electric type raid attacker, but it's only if you have the move Thunder Cage, and of course that is a move that's going to require an elite charge TM. I don't think it's going to be available this time around, even though it is in raid battles. You will likely have to use an elite charge TM if you get yourself a 100% IV, but that's essentially it. So yeah, overall it's a very chill week. You could just spend this week just casually catching Pokemon, getting a whole bunch of Pokeballs, and then of course if you want to get yourself Gigantamax Pikachu, you could look forward to that on the weekend. That's pretty much all that's going on. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Share your thoughts regarding this week down below. Is there something in particular that you are looking forward to? Make sure you share what that is, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you really enjoyed it and you want to support my channel, the best way you could do that is by hitting that like button. And of course, subscribe if it's your first time here, if it's the first video that you're seeing from my channel. And make sure you turn on the notification bell so you know exactly when, every time I upload videos. And make sure you check out the links in the description below. One of them is to my Patreon page, and if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm actually going to add you to my Pokemon GO friends list. So that is the major perk. So make sure you go and check that out. Again, I'll put a link to it in the description below. And there's also a link to my Etsy store as well. And also, if you want, you could follow me on social media so you can see what's going on in my daily life. There's a bunch of different platforms that I'm pretty active in, mostly on Instagram and Threads. So go over there, look for @Jinsula. That's going to be me, and you'll be able to keep up with my daily life. All right, with all that said, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll catch you in the next video.
hey.